Greetings, Flosstube. It's Monday, October 31st, 2016. It's 8:52 p.m., so I'm going to keep this short because I'm about to lapse into a food coma from dinner. I went to the hangar tonight for the sports radio show, not with this on. I had this on all day at work, but more on that in a sec. And I managed to eat about a half a bowl of their mac and cheese, which is so delicious, but I swear to God, carb overload. I'm about to pass out and go to sleep. I'm just grateful I didn't have a beer with it because that really would have been all she wrote. I just wanted to do a quick Flosstube video because I got my last fabric package in the mail until I get my Picture This Plus stash. This is the one that I ordered from Garibaldi's Needleworks. And I just thought I would do a little opening video and share it with you because after I get my Picture This Plus fabrics, I should be set with fabric for the immediate future. So anyway, yes, I wore this to work today. We were able to wear costumes, so I didn't do anything fancy other than the mask. I had on black jeans and a black turtleneck. And Bill was like, well, you could be Catwoman. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I couldn't pull off the cat suit, but okay. And he's like, well, just remember, Selena Kyle was an administrative assistant before she went mental and turned into Catwoman. And I'm thinking, yeah, that could be potentially, that could happen in my office. Anyway, I'm not going to wear this anymore because it's very strange. It's got, I don't know, but it's itchy as hell. And there weren't that many people at work today who dressed up. I think out of an office of close to 100, 12 of us did because we got together for an office picture. We had one of our Hispanic employees was a sugar skull princess type thing. And we had a bumblebee. We had a full-on dinosaur. One of the younger girls wore like a bodysuit dinosaur costume thing. And we had me, and then there was another cat. And the office manager was a fisherman, and the supervisors wore fish around their necks like they were his catch or whatever. That was kind of silly. What else did we have? We had a witch. My particular supervisor was like Clark Kent in the middle of transforming into Superman because he had on like a sport jacket and a button-down shirt, but then he had his shirt unbuttoned and you could see the Superman logo. I thought that was kind of cool because my supervisor wears glasses and he's got dark hair and all, so he could do like the whole Clark Kent thing. So that was cool, but the office manager is the fisher. That was weird. But I managed, it was funny because I was so proud of myself because they put buckets of candy all around the office. And my theory is if I wait until closer to lunchtime or even after lunch to go for a piece of candy, all the good stuff will be taken, leaving all the crap that I wouldn't touch and helping my willpower. Well, that worked out fine because I didn't even go to the candy buckets until around 1:30, and it was all like gobstoppers and nerds and pumpkin spice Laffy Taffy. I mean, I don't even like Laffy Taffy, period, but pumpkin spice, are you kidding me? That sounds revolting. Oh, the only thing I like pumpkin spice flavored is the pumpkin spice muffins at Dunkin' Donuts. And I don't even do pumpkin spice coffee. The only one that had that I've liked is the salted caramel pumpkin latte at Dunkin' Donuts because the caramel is sweet enough that it kind of, because see, I don't use sugar in my coffee. So my theory is the reason I can't stand pumpkin spice is because it's bitter anyway and it needs sugar, but I don't drink sugar in my coffee. So yeah, but anyway. Yeah, it was an interesting Halloween. Very few people actually dressed up. Yeah, I mean, it was just such a... But I wore that mask all day, and I took a walk on my lunch break around the community college campus that's across the street from where I work, and some people looked at me like, what the hell are you doing? And yeah, I was the only one walking around over there dressed up, but, you know, hey, you should let your freak flag fly on Halloween. It's the only day of the year where you can actually get away with that stuff. So I'll probably wear the mask next year. I mean, I went to Spirit Halloween, which took over our old Best Buy that went out of business. And I'm enough of a feminist to be really offended by most Halloween costumes out there. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, but slutty nuns, and, I mean, really? You know, for all this talk about cultural appropriation and how certain costumes are wrong, you know, what about costumes that just objectify a woman's body parts, and don't, you know, I mean, seriously, we worry about sugar skulls and Native American costumes, but we don't stop and look at the fact that most of the women's Halloween costumes out there glorify TNA. But I'm not going to get on that too. I'm not going to go there because nobody comes to my channel to hear me politicize. But seriously, if we're going to worry about cultural misappropriation in costumes, we should worry about rampant sexism too. Because out of all the costumes I saw yesterday, there were only maybe 3 or 4 that were normal, and they were all Disney characters. I mean, if you were a woman who wanted to dress normal and not have your boobs and your butt hanging out your costume, you were either Elsa, Cinderella, or I think it was the Little Mermaid. So yeah, enough of that. That's the part of Halloween I hate. So that's why I just did the mask, because I was like, first of all, these are all NSFW. There's no way I could ever wear one of these to work without getting fired. And second of all, even if I could, I wouldn't want to, because it's just really trampy. So yeah. So the reason I thought I'd make a little video here is because I recently discovered Garibaldi's Needleworks, and I believe they have an Etsy shop as well as an online website. I absolutely love this fabric that I ordered. I didn't order much because I was kind of on a limited budget, and I only needed a couple pieces to round out my collection for what I want to do next year. But I've never used Monaco Even Weave. And then I got a piece of Carolina linen, so I thought I'd share those with you. And I think the light's a little better in here tonight. This is the Carolina linen in the Golden Sunflower color, and it's a very interesting, it's not really, there's not a whole lot of gold. It's really more like a brownish, I mean, it's not, to say brownish yellow would be wrong, because it's really like a nice neutral tan. But it's called Golden Sunflower. I bought the 28 count, and it is a fat 8 because I don't need a lot of fat quarters. Some of my pieces I'm going to do are smaller, but this is awesome. And I wish I'd actually ordered a fat quarter of this, because I've got a couple things I could use on a bright fabric like this for next year. And I'm kind of, but hey, you know, if I use this piece, then I can restash. This is called Sunburst, and this is the Monaco Even Weave, and it is gorgeous. I'm really becoming a huge orange fan. I've always said purple, #1 favorite color, green, with like the exceptions of chartreuse and neon green and olive green, second favorite. But orange is quickly becoming not even my third favorite, but look at this. This is so, I have no idea how they got all the little swirlies and things in it. But this is absolutely, oh my gosh, it's like mandarin orange. And believe it or not, I do have a couple of pieces this will work fantastically on. It's much prettier than the Picture This Plus Solar. Although Picture This Plus Solar, you can't really compare it to it, because that's like a yellow fabric with orange in it. But this is like complete orange. And I really like the feel of the fabric too. It kind of reminds me of the Lugano, because it's a very sturdy fabric. But this is, I mean, I bought the Golden Sunflower because you always need neutrals in your fabric stash. Surprisingly, I don't have that many neutrals. But this, oh, Garibaldi's Needleworks. Folks, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. Garibaldi'sNeedleworks.com, or I believe they have an Etsy shop. This is almost, I haven't had very many fabrics I would say this about, but this is one of the few that I've had that I swear to you, it's almost too pretty to stitch on. Because I don't feel like my stitching is necessarily worthy of something that pretty. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of like the way I feel about using silk threads and stuff. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, you know, I'm going to have to frog this. I know at some point I'll have to frog it, and it's not going to end well. And that's a ruin of a perfectly beautiful silk thread. But hey, I guess, you know, if we were artists, we'd be buying quality canvases. So as fiber artists, which I do believe we all are, I believe you're a fiber artist if you knit, if you crochet, if you quilt, if you cross stitch, if you embroider, or even sew. Make your own clothes, which I've always wished I could do, but no, I don't need to get a sewing machine. It's the last thing I need. So I just thought I'd share this little bit of haul with you. These are really beautiful, and I feel like, you know, putting them in my stash, it's like, oh, they're so pretty. I want to use them all right now. But this was only, it was only $36 with shipping and tax. So, and it comes from Michigan, I think. Garibaldi's is in Michigan, I want to say. Yeah, Shepherd, Michigan. So it didn't take but a few days to get here. So these are beautiful, but I really like the Golden Sunburst too. They're Golden Sunflower because it's a nice neutral tan color, which I like tans because to me that's like vintage. It reminds me of like vintage. I mean, like I don't remember if I ever told you that when I toured the Emily Dickinson Museum, I think I did in one of my early videos, that I was more transfixed by the cross stitch that her mother did that was on the wall than the actual room where it had the only surviving portrait made of Emily and Lavinia and Austin, her brother. You know, I was standing there, I was like, oh, look at this, her mom stitched this. But it was done on like a very, now that would almost look like it was done on like a silk gauze type thing, but it was on a very neutral. So to me, I think that pieces look very vintagey when you do them on neutral. And some pieces you just need, like the thread is so flamboyant, you don't need a flamboyant piece of fabric to compete with it. But anyway, I wanted to share that little bit of stash. And hopefully in the next few days I will get my Picture This Plus invoice. I'm getting a little nervous because everybody else is getting theirs. And I'm ready to pay for it. Just, you know. So, that's pretty much it from here. A short video. Garibaldi's, lovely packaged, beautiful fabric. You can tell they take a lot of pride in their craftsmanship, just the way everything is. And this is gorgeous. Oh my God, I love this. I don't know when I became an orange person. Not when I lived in Memphis, that's for sure, because that was UT colors and that was a no-no. I actually did have a really pretty, like, deep, like, autumn orange velour. It wasn't exactly a pullover because it was a blouse, but it zipped up the back and it was velour, so it was a little bit shiny. It was orange, and everybody to a T in the marching band, which I worked for the music department for the marching and concert bands. They swore that meant that I was a UT fan. I just loved orange even then, I guess. But yeah, I mean, now UT orange is a bit of overkill, but because it's every freaking wear. But at least they wear their orange and mix it up with a little white, so it's not just like in your face all the time. Well, it is, but not that bad. So I don't know. I think it's because to me orange is such a warm color, and in the dead of winter when it's, because around here in New England, even if the weather's not bad per se, it just gets so dreary, you know. It's like just cloudy, even if it's not snowing. But when it does snow a lot and the ground and the sky are the same color, I don't have seasonal affective disorder or whatever it's called, but I just hate winter because I hate being cold. Being cold makes my neck hurt. You know, and once I'm cold for the day, like even just walking from my car to my office, if I get cold like that, then I'm not going to get warm the rest of the day. I need my warmth and my sunlight, and I think and it's funny because my hairstylist, she's kind of into astrology. She's like, well, of course, you're a Leo. Of course you need your sunlight. And I'm like, well, okay, if you say so. But I really find myself drawn to warm colors, and I think that's why. And I like bright colors in general anyway, and I like jewel tones regardless of what the color is. So yeah, I think it must just be that it like resembles sunlight or something for me, but this is so pretty. I like both of them, but the orange one definitely gets my vote. So that's pretty much it. I got an awesome text from Bill while I was at the hangar. He had texted me to vent about some things that the administration was trying to do to the football team that I'm not really at liberty to talk about it anyway because I'm not supposed to know all these details. But he said on the flip side, there's something really awesome we learned tonight. And I was like, what? what is that? And he said, well, not only are we getting a private tour of Pearl Harbor a couple weeks before the 75th anniversary, but we're also going to have Thanksgiving dinner Thursday night on one of the warships out there. And I'm hoping it's the Missouri because that's the one that Bill really wants to see. Bill's totally in love with the Navy. I'm not sure when that started. I know it's been like a lifelong thing for him. His dad was in the Army in Vietnam. His dad was drafted. He did have great uncles who served in the Marines and the Navy in World War II. Because being in Northern Virginia where he was, he knew a lot of military kids in high school, and he had some friends whose parents were in the Navy. I think between the two of us, we pretty much cover all the bases with the branches of the military, with the exception of the Coast Guard. My cousin, who's 12 years older than me, he's technically like my first cousin once removed or whatever. He's my dad's first cousin, but he's 12 years older than me. He was in the Air Force. He retired, but now he runs an ROTC at a high school in North Carolina. My grandfather, my mom's father was in the Army during World War II. My dad was almost drafted for Vietnam, and I think he would have gone into the Air Force if he had to go, but I think that was where he wanted to go, but his eyesight was so bad, fortunately. Crappy vision kept him from being drafted. My great uncle, my mom's uncle was in the Navy. So there's a lot of armed forces representation in our family, but Bill is absolutely in love with the United States Navy. So I'm really hoping that we get to have dinner that night on the Missouri, or I think its nickname is the Big Mo, but it's out there. It's the museum. It's the one that's the museum at Pearl Harbor, I think. But I mean, seriously, how freaking cool is that? I mean, who gets to eat Thanksgiving dinner on a warship unless you're in the Navy? And then it's not that big a deal because it's your job. It's not like, you're a bunch of starry-eyed tourists getting to have Thanksgiving dinner on a warship. It's like it's your job. You'd probably rather be at home, but I mean, I can't even imagine it. I mean, it's such a dream. It feels like it's such a dream to be going to Hawaii in the first place. And I was like, how the hell did we swing all this? Well, apparently several UMass grads are stationed at Pearl Harbor, and Bill thinks one of them is an admiral. So we're getting like the private, U.S. Navy running out the red carpet for us. And it's like, wow, we must be special. Did the Navy check our season so far? We've only won 2 games, but, I think that one of the admirals who's stationed out there is a UMass grad. So they're really going to take good care of us. And it's like, oh my God, who gets to have Thanksgiving dinner on a warship? That's so freaking awesome. And I mean, I think the fact that we're there a couple weeks before the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor is just insanely moving too. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things where, you can watch all the documentaries, you can watch the movie Pearl Harbor, it was bad and how horrible it was, but until you're actually there and you see what it must have actually been like on that Sunday before the attack, I think that's what's really going to hit home for me, is probably how peaceful it is and, all that. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bam, there it went. And they destroyed pretty much our entire fleet in a matter of a few hours. So I'm really looking forward to that. Although it's funny, I was thinking about it today. Now, not to freak y'all out or anything, but 3 weeks from this coming Friday will be our game in Hawaii, which is the day after Thanksgiving. So I thought I'd spread that little gem of joy for you. And then it'll be almost a month till Christmas, but yeah. So, well, on that cheery note that I can just envision all of you throwing things at your computer screen when I say that. I'm channeling my father. He does that to my mother every year on his around his birthday. He'll be like, it's 1 month till Christmas. And then, because his birthday is November 23rd, so, on the 25th, he'll be like, it's 1 month to Christmas. And then on the 26th, he's always like, and in a month, it'll all be over with. She's never really liked that, but anyway, so I know I'm jacked up on sugar and carbs and excitement about the trip. So I think I'm going to stop it here when I can actually make a video that'll post relatively quickly. I just wanted to share that little bit of haul with you. And hopefully I'll be back in a few days with a picture of this plus haul, because I did get 10 pieces of fabric. I was a little snot. I'm sure when they saw my order, they were like, okay, let's put hers at the bottom of the pile because that's too much work right now. We got to fill these other smaller orders. I'm sure there were a lot of people who were a lot more polite than I was. But anyway, so yeah, well, if I stash 19 pieces of fabric away, chances are next year I won't order that much, if any. But anyway, love you guys. Hope everyone's doing okay. Just wanted to share that with you. And until next time, whenever that may be, I wish you happy stitching and a happy life. See you soon.